right? Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Call Halayim Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashim Rakal Kadash, double honors to the apostles and elders at Great Millstone who taught us this truth. Honors and salutations to all Serakim throughout the four corners of this earth, laboring in honesty, sincerity, charity, and sound doctrine. And the Akwatim and the children that believe on the name of the Father and the Son, whose the Father's name is Yahweh, and the Son's name is Yahweh Shai. My name is Ma'aka Allah Bun Gad Bun Yasha'Allah. I'm with the Watchman Philadelphia camp, and I'm just going to, basically do a lesson, let the Spirit take over, about the so-called Native American Indians, which is my tribe. So I'm from the tribe of Gad, and it was said, like I was looking at articles, a while back, and Esau was trying to say that that the North American Indians, that's him, So there you go again, trying to take our identity and stuff. Just like he stole Judah's identity, the tribe of Judah. He called them Amalekites, Jews, or Jewish, which is no such thing as a Jewish person. All right, as the word Jew comes from the word Judah, which that's the top tribe of Israel, and that's the tribe that Yahweh Shai came out of, and basically when you say Jewish, ish is a suffix meaning something that's trying to be like the real thing, but it's not. Like if you call somebody childish, you call a grown man childish, you're not saying that man is actually a child, you're saying he's acting like a child. So they over there acting like Israelites, like Judites, but they doing a horrible job at it, man. Why? Because it's not them. But I got this book here, man, and I'm just gonna hop right into it to let you know that the so-called Native American Indians are Israelites, all right, and their spirit bears witness with the scriptures, man. Okay, so I'm gonna go right into it, man. I'm gonna read this part. It says they grease themselves with bear's fat, clarified and using no defense against sun or weather. Their skins must needs be swarthy. So swarthy is dark skin. All right. So listen to that. It says they grease themselves with bear's fat, clarified and using no defense against sun or weather. So guess what? What does Esau do? The so-called white man, they need suntan lotion and all that, sunscreen, because the sun hates their ass, man. It burns them up, man. They turn redder than lobsters, man, when they cook, if they stay out in the sun too long. So these people, they ain't need no protection from the sun. Why? Because they had that melanin, man. It says their skins must needs be swarthy. So yeah, swarthy, basically that means dark. All right. I'm gonna read this paragraph. It says they had broad cheekbones and well-shaped, but usually not prominent noses. In this differing from the hawk-nosed Indians of the plains, their eyes were dark, their hair was black and straight, like the gypsy. Their Salakia, they were brown skinned. Red skin is a misnomer. Alright. It says their skin was brown. So when the last time have you saw a brown Edomite, man? The only time you see that is if it's a confusion of face. Because you got niggas that's Edomites. They called the tears. Because they look like a Jake, but they're not a Jake. Like this hat guy that come to my job, man. This nigga, he is straight up Edomite, man. But he looked like a so-called black man. And if you talk to him and see his spirit, you be like, yo, this nigga's a fucking Edomite, man. Alright, it goes down, hop down to the clothing. It says leggings of fringed buckskin fastened with thongs to the waist belt, descended from above the knee to below the ankle. So, yo, who else wear fringes but Israelites? Esau don't wear fringes, man. So their spirit is bearing witness that they were Israelites, man. And then you even got some dummies in Yasharala, man, talking about the so-called Native Americans wasn't Israelites, and they try to say the 12 tribe charts going off and all that. So them niggas, they don't understand nothing, man. And the reason why they saying these things and why these controversies keep coming up in Yasharala and we gotta defend them is because Esau is setting these things up, man, to keep our people down, man. They trying to upset prophecy, and they don't want their rulership to be over with, man. All right, it says women's clothing was much like the men's, except that the women wore a knee-length skirt made by folding a rectangular piece of deer skin over the waist belt and doubling it on the right side. All right, hold up. It says ornaments of deer antlers and wampum hung round the neck, wrist, and ankle. In later years, the traders' brass and silver trinkets were much prized. An Indian woman wore the little belts around their ankles and silver trinkets that tinkled as they walked. So yeah, so now that bears witness with the spirit. That's how you know that they're Israelites, man. So let's grab Isaiah chapter 16 and 23. Come on, man. Salaki. Isaiah chapter 3, verse 16 to 23. I'm going to read. This says, this is Isaiah chapter 3, starting at verse 16. It says, moreover, Yahweh Bashem Awashai saith, because the daughters of Zion are hardy. All right, so we know what hardy is. They're proud, man. You know, to be high, be exalted. You know, they got them they arrogant, man. You know, the nigga woman is real arrogant, and guess who made her like that? Esau, man. It says, moreover, Yahweh Bashem Awashai saith, because the daughters of Zion are hardy, and walk with stretched forth necks and wanton eyes, walking and menacing as they go, and making a tinkling with their feet. You see that? And they wore what's that? They are their ankles in silver tinklets that tinkled as they walked, man. All right. It says, therefore Yahweh Bashem Awashai will smite with a scab the crown of the head of the daughters of Zion, and Yahweh Bashem Awashai will discover their secret parts. Okay, so that's because they, you know, for them being real proud, that's why you got a whole lot of Judite women, just Israelite women, period. They can't grow their hair, man. You know, their hair, it's hard for them to grow their hair, man. And they put all type of different chemicals and stuff like that in there to try to grow it. But guess what, man? Yahweh Bashem Awashai, he did that to you, man. Why? Because when he had you set up, you know, the women was dressing nice and all that. They was good. They got high-minded, man. All right, it says, verse 18 says, in that day, Yahweh Bashem Awashai will take away the bravery of their tinkling ornaments about their feet, and their calls, and their round tires like the moon, Salaki. The chains and the bracelets and the mufflers, the bonnets and the ornaments of the legs, and the headbands and the tablets and the earrings, damn, the rings and nose jewels, the changeable suits of apparel, and the mantles, and the wimplets, and the crisping pins, the glasses and the fine linen, and the hoods and the veils, man. So yeah, Yahweh Bashem Awashai took all those things from you women, man. You know? So everything that scripture just explains us lets you know that these people, all right, the so-called Indians, were Israelites, man. All right? Because they're not dressing real fancy no more, man. All right, you see the so-called Native Americans now, they jacked up, man. A lot of them is on reservations, man. All right, I'm gonna keep going. It says, among the Indians there were There was little or no keeping up with the Joneses. You see that? Yet they took pride in their personal appearance. So yo, doesn't Israel do that, man? Esau don't care how he look, man. They dress bummy as hell, man. You know? Only Jake wanna dress all fly. Like I had this match and my hat match with my shirt, and my shirt match with my sneakers, the colors of my sneakers match, you know, everything got matched, man. You know? It says the vermilion pot with its bright red paint, shell tweezers for pulling out hair on the face, and the bear's grease for the hair, and for the boot and for the body were household necessities. In northwestern Pennsylvania, petroleum, later known as Seneca oil, which they still had at, was used as an ornament, as an ointment. Bear's grease and petroleum, bear's grease and petroleum had an odor unpleasant to Europeans. So yeah, Esau ain't like that smell, man. You know, just like, you know, we wear what's that? You know, you get the frankincense and myrrh, you know, the spikenard oils and things like that. Esau don't like this smell, man. You know, and frankincense and myrrh was Yahweh Shai's favorite oil, man. So when I wear that now, like a lot of people, when I look at it, like, man, if they don't like this smell, they don't like Yahweh Shai, man. You know, it ain't that's just the spirit, man. All right, it says, but it was Salakia, but it must not be thought that the early Indians were a filthy people, man. So yo, in the world, Indian, I believe, means savage, man. If I'm not mistaken, it means savage. So they was calling these people savages, you know. But it said, man, they were not a filthy. They were not a filthy people. It says thought that the early Indians were a filthy people. All right. They kept themselves cleaner than most white men of that day, man. So this is cutting you niggas up that talk about, you know, that the Indians were not Israelites, man. You out your damn mind, man. It says Delaware young people were accustomed to a daily swim in the stream. It means they was washing their ass. And their elders, when tired of or ill, took steam baths in a sweet lodge to restore them. Well or ill, they seldom let a week go by without one or two visits to the sweat lodge, man. So these people, man, they was on point, man. So you can't sit and be like, yo, the Indians, the 12 tribe sign is off. The Indians, they're not Israelites. You bugging out when you say that. All right, it says dressing the hair. It says women let their hair grow long. So guess what? The woman's hair is her what's that? Her glory, man. All right, it says George Henry Loskell, the Moravian writing in the late 18th century tells us that in his tells us that in his day nothing was more shameful for a woman than to have her hair cut off, man. You hear that, man? Nothing was more shameful for a woman to have her hair cut off. Now look at you niggas now, you nigga women now. You like to cut your hair down, damn near looking like boys, man. So that's shameful, man. So how are these people not Israelites, man? And their spirit bears witness to the things of the scriptures, man. All right, it says the Delaware women, he wrote, never plait their hair, but fold and tie it round with a piece of cloth, man. So yo, it tells you not supposed to have broidered hair and all that, man. This is 1 Timothy 2:9. You know, so they weren't trying to do like the women now with all these different fancy hairstyles and all that. No, they kept it simple, man. All right, this is 1 Timothy chapter 2:9. It says, in like manner also that women adorn themselves in modest apparel with shamefacedness and sobriety, not with broidered hair or gold or pearls or costly array, man. So yeah, not with broidered hair, man, and all that. Hold up. So yeah, Salaki, I can try and look up something real fast. All right, yeah. So you know they wasn't wearing all these different hairstyles and all that, man. It says the scalp lock. The men wrote Loskio never suffered their hair to grow long, man. You hear that, man? They never suffered their hair to grow long, man. A man, so they ain't had that long hair past their goddamn shoulders and all that, man. You know? Now hold on. Fine. So I'm gonna read that again. It says the men wrote Loskel, how you pronounce his Edomite name, never suffer their hair to grow long. So okay, this is here we go, man. Check this out. Now this goes for both the men and the women. All right, this is 1 Corinthians chapter 11 verse 14, starting at verse 14. It says, "Doth not nature itself teach you that if a man have long hair, it is a shame unto him," man? So that's why the men they wasn't growing that long ass hair, man. You know, plus they was warriors. So if you were in a battle, you know, like the women do, they like to pull hair and all that, man. You know, a man ain't supposed to have long hair. And look how the women they kept their hair, man. They grew their hair long. Because it was a shame for them to shave it off, right? So this is verse 15. It says, "But if a woman having long hair," Salak, it says, "But if a woman have long hair, it is a glory to her." Salak, for her hair is given her for a covering. All right? So that's why them women, they had that long hair, man. They wasn't cutting these stuff off and all that, man. You know? But these women now, like I said, man, they just they go for broke, man. You know. Let's read about the sweat lodge real fast. As this is proven to you that these so-called with Esau calls them the Indians, these so-called Indians, they were Israelites, man. All right. It says every community had its sweat lodge, sweat ovens, one for the men and another at the opposite end of the town for the women. The sweat lodge was used by young and old as a cure for various diseases and for a general shaping of the wits in preparation for some important conference. So check this out, man. Does not Esau use what's that, saunas now, man? Where they go in there with the steam and sit there? Where do you think Esau got that from, man? You know, they studied Israel, man. They studied us. They studied our people. And of course, they was asking questions and all that. Why did they do this? Why did they do that? Why do you think that this guy wrote this book, man? From his observation of the Gadites, man. You know, the so-called North American Indians, man. All right, it says, hopping down, it says some persons bought their own potions for the cure of particular diseases. All right, now let's go to division of labor. Okay, it says he made canoes, war clubs, bows and arrows. He went to war to defend his home, but he left the management of the house to his wife, and the chief matron of her lineage. And he listened to the advice of these women in matters of peace and war. The Delaware woman was far from being a slave. She had a relatively higher, more respected position in the community than her sister in Europe. She was complete. She was complete mistress in her home. She owned the house, its equipment, and the fields attached to it. In case of divorce, she kept the children, and public affairs for advice was powerful. In terms of blood money, the custom of payment to prevent the taking of blood revenge, writes John Whithoff, in the American Indian as Hunter, the American Indian as Hunter. A woman was worth twice as much as a man, where the family of a killer had to make formal payment of the victim. Indian law determined that the sum must be doubled, and if the slain were a woman. All right. It says her duties were commensurate with her privileges, and she bore her responsibilities without complaining, man. So yeah, the woman bore her responsibilities without complaining. You know, like if you go out there in Lancaster, PA, man, and you see them Amish women, man, they be out there cutting the grass, man. Not with an electric lawnmower. I mean a gas ran lawnmower with the regular push joint, a hand. You know, the joint that spent, the blade spun. And they got all this land, so the woman, she was taking care of home, man. You know, that these women, they were virtuous women, man. You know, and they was doing what they were supposed to do without complaining. But yo, you try getting a nigga woman to do something now, man. You gonna be all types of MFers. Alright, it says she nursed the children, made the pottery, tanned the hides, dressed the game her husband brought. So that means she cooked, kept the fire burning, made the bread, provided her husband and family with 2 good meals a day, and kept a kettle of soup on the fire for possible visitors. She gathered the firewood, fetched the water, and made clothing for herself and the family. She plowed the ground, planted the corn, cultivated it, gathered it, and ground it into flour for flour or mill. So look, man, if you look at nature, right? What does the female lion do, man? She the one that goes out, hunts the food, you know, brings it back and feeds her family, man. That's the same thing that these women were doing. They were providing, feeding the family, man. You know, that's their job, man. All right, as women, man. You know, because go back to Genesis, it says she shall be a help, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. You know, because he said that Adam was lonely, so he gave Eve to Adam for a help, man. All right, it says food and cooking. The staple foods were the three sisters: corn, beans, and squash. The spices of squash they ate. So like the spices of squash they ate was what we call the pumpkin, though not the variety that goes into the into our Thanksgiving pies. The diet was not so narrow as it might seem to be. There were many other foods available, and these were combined with the 3 sisters to provide variety. Besides fish flesh and fowl, there were insects. You see that, man? You see that? Besides fish, flesh, and fowl, there were insects. Okay, so that's going to Leviticus, the 11th chapter, man. Which I just did a lesson on that not like a couple days ago, I believe. You know, which that's the dietary law. So if these people are going by this law, how are they not Israelites, man? And this was just, in their spirit to do so, man. All right. It says, the Moravians observed that fried locust was enjoyed by the children. In addition to the staple vegetables, there were potatoes and wild peas. There were chestnuts, hickory nuts, hazelnuts. There was also wild grapes, wild plums, crab apples, cranberries, huckleberries, strawberries, blackberries, gooseberries, uh, whortleberries, bilberries, raspberries, of cranberries and crab apples. They made preserves. All right. It says they tapped the maple trees and boiled the sap to syrup and sugar. There has been some questions whether the white man learned the art of maple sugar making from the Indian or the Indian from the white man. So guess what, man? They learned that from the tribe of Gad, man. All right. Esau didn't learn nothing on his own, man. Everything Esau got, he stole, man. That's why they're known as the robber. All right. It says Helen and Scott, nearing the maple sugar book, assured us that the debt is to the Indian. Okay. Here is some of their evidence. Mark Lees Carbot in his History de la Nouvelle France 1609 wrote that when the Indians were thirsty, they got juice from the trees and distilled it into what he found to be a sweet and very agreeable liquor. Salakia, liquid, man. Alright, I'm gonna stop right there for right now. Alright, that's part one, man. I don't even know what I'm gonna name this, man, but matter of fact, I'll probably name it Proof That the so-called Indians are Israelites. Yeah, I think I'm gonna name it that. Proof that the so-called Indians are Israelites. Alright, with that, I hope that this part of the lesson was edifying. I hope it reaches out, the message goes to who it has to be, who needs to hear it, And to part two of this lesson, Shalom.